We seem to have the most unserious presidency, and I say without fear of corridors critics. I say with every sense of patriotism and commitment. It is easier to bet a new Nigeria than to get a Tinubu to make Nigeria work. We have seen executives try to twist and manipulate the legislature, but we've never seen a legislature that accepts to be a rubber stamp, and proudly so. This legislature is saying that they are proud to be rubber stamps of the executive. Peter Gregory is a fantastic candidate. But I think that two things are needed to defeat Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027. You must connect with the masses of our people, not the political class. I'm speaking deeply. What worked for him in 2022, 2023 was that he connected with a generation of young people, young boys and girls who wanted change.
Some critics say that the obedient fire has burnt out. It was 2023 was just a fluke.
The obedient fire is alive and well. But what appears like some kind of lethargy is a leadership mistake, and P2B is largely responsible for that mistake.
Any possibility of Tinubu winning 2027?
No, he won't win.
Hey, did you know that SMUD is now paying Sacramento homeowners thousands?
Is Chris Nwokodia Jr. convener Country First Movement, a good governance advocacy group. All right, so much has happened between last year and of course early this year. I would rather want to start with some of your write-up, your trilogy, where one of them you said, I don't want to talk about a president who is giving his New Year speech from outside the country. What do you mean?
It's an irony of sorts that across the world, getting into the new year, most world leaders spoke to their citizens from within their homeland, and very tragically, unfortunately, and pretty shamelessly, our president was away. I wouldn't know what to call it. On holiday, I don't know, But I think that talking about our country and discussing Nigeria deeply, what bothers the carapace of my mind is the fact that we seem to have the most unserious presidency. And I say without fear of corridors critics. I say with every sense of patriotism and commitment. I would rather that we have a president who have minders that are concerned about our country, who have minders that are critical about his approach to leadership, who have minders that care about global perception of Africa's most populous nation, that has wonderful perception and are concerned about how the world sees the largest black nation in the world. And pretty unfortunately, we have those who are ensconced, those who are captive to court jesting, who think that our president does no wrong, who think that our president is infallible, who think that our president can govern from anywhere. And I think that what we must do as a people, because I've said time without number that the most beautiful street in the city called brotherhood, the most beautiful street in the city called nationhood, the most beautiful street in the city called progress is critical opposition. The most beautiful street in nationhood is patriotism. And sadly, those who govern, those who superintend, are unaware that when we criticize leadership, we're indeed interested in making leadership responsible and responsive to the people. And so for our president to have left our country on the 30th day of the month of December, 2 days to the new year, and told us he was going to Europe. One other question I asked is, Europe is a continent of about 40-something nations, 44, 48. Now, those who speak on behalf of our president tells us that our president is going to Europe. When Europe? And then they also went further to say that he was going to attend a program in Dubai, the UAE. And I made my research. And I found out that that program was actually going to hold on the 11th of January. So you ask yourself, what is our president going to be doing in Europe from the 30th of December up until the 11th of January? And that's why I said that we have a leadership that is grossly shameless, a leadership that is overwhelmed by wanderlust, a leadership that does not care about how our people perceive governance, and very sadly, a leadership that does not understand that consensus building, trust, and commitment to the collective good should be summoned. And I say this advisedly: you don't leave your country when your citizens, the moral latitude of the people is low, psychological latitude of the people is low. People are being killed night and day. The Haramists are dishing out human barbecues. The insurgents are killing people with reckless abandon, and insecurity is at the highest level. And you're leaving your country without telling us where you're actually headed. I think that the time has come for those who pretend our nation to deal with issues of state with absolute seriousness.
How do you assess the last 2 years plus 3 years of Tinubu's presidency?
Grossly lethargic, grossly uneventful. 2.5 years of talk, less action. And I'll give you a very cool analysis. On the one hand, the Minister of Works is telling us that we have never had such a boisterous action, ditto road work and road construction. On the other hand, Nigerians, those traveling from the west to the east, were sleeping on the roads 2 nights, 3 nights, because they had to visit home for the Yuletide. So you ask yourself, who's lying to who? And that's why in one of those pieces I said that the time for spokespersons of our president to lie less is now. You know, tragically, we have a presidency that has elevated falsehood and perfidy to an act of state. You know, I am not saying that we want to see a president who performs magic in a few days or in a few months. I am saying that where you're doing well, say it, and people will cross-check and fast-check it and say, oh, thumbs up to our president and his minders. But where you're not doing well, if you're not conceding to the fact that it is difficult for you, do not lie. Do not tell Nigerians that it is Uhuru when we all know that it's far from that. And I think that the time has come for us to ask our dear president and those who are around him to let call a spade by his name. You truly build confidence when you're able to tell the people that, countrymen, we have fantastic ideas. We're working on them. We're developing them. We're doing our best to make Nigeria better. It's not been easy, but surely we're going to do it. Then to look us in the face and tell us that we have never seen a president who's been this adventurous. And I ask myself, where's the adventure? You say the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. It's not up to Omoye yet. It's not near Shagamu yet. You tell me about the Sokoto, Wegage, Badagry, and all that. And you ask yourself, where are the sites of these boisterous and futuristic projects? I am more concerned about, I'm Igbo. And there's this Igbo phraseology, for the benefit of our listeners, I want to say that we have this phraseology that says, if you can expand, stay well the way you are. Now, if you have so many roads that are dysfunctional, the first thing to do is fix them. The first thing to do is make sure those roads are functional before you go on white elephant projects. Now I'll give you a practical instance. The Benin, Shagamu, Ore, Edo Express Road was grossly dysfunctional. It's been dysfunctional for decades. Now, those who were going for Christmas would naturally traverse that route. Instead of fixing that road and making sure it's motorable, you're telling me about a coastal way that is adventurous. And then I should think that we know that the primary reason for leadership and governance is for the security of lives and properties. It's for the well-being of the people. So what should motivate governance is how to make life better for the people. There's a line in the American Charter, we hold this truth to be self-evident that all men were created equal and given certain inalienable rights. But there's a line that excites me. All this is for the pursuit of happiness. Now, if we have leadership that cares about the pursuit of happiness here, that cares about the well-being of the people, then the first thing Omoye, Tinubu, and his government should do is fix the irregular routes so the Nigerian people can travel. And then when you tell me that you're pursuing projects that will not immediately impact the people, when life, every government to himself, do you know that?
Sure.
I provide my security. No disparaging the Nigerian security services. I'm not undermining their efforts. I have my guard. They work on shift duties. I provide my electricity largely because I don't get more than 10 hours of light supply. I provide my water. This same government tells you they'll have to tax you. These are the stories of the past 2.5 years. And then they have told us that one of the most boisterous projects is a tax review and a tax law. As I talk with you, we have 2 gazetted in the documents. We're talking about forgery. Those who speak on behalf and for the president are saying there's no forged document. We're talking about forgery. The National Assembly is saying, oh, we have harmonized. But as I talk to you, I have 2 gazetted documents. I can forward them to you. Same tax law. 2 different gazetted documents. If you don't have them, I have them. Maybe when you're airing this interview, you can juxtapose them. Some, in one case, is 90 pages, same document. Another 92 pages, same document, 2 different laws. There's another one that is 130 pages. Another one, 128. It's I don't know what we make of leadership in this country. And I think that the tragedy of all of this is the fact that when we were politicking and campaigning in 2022, 2023, when we saw bishops, or non-bishops if you like, people who were wearing gasoks, who were picked from Nyanya Bridge, who were picked from Wuse Park, and they told us those men were priests who have come to endorse the Muslim ticket. That was forgery and fakery, until we saw videos where they were fighting for monies from APC leaders. And so we knew they were procured men. When we read and watched issues as to certificate, forgery, age, fakery, and all sorts, we didn't know it was going to extend to issues of our law. And nothing bothers me more than the fact that, because I'm a lawyer first, that we have laws that are forged. That's the deep in the nadir. That's the deep in the abyss. That's the deep into shamelessness. And these are the things I'm actually trying to preempt the next write-up I'm doing, and simply, I'm saying, welcome back, Mr. President. And what I said in one of I'm going to put it out in the next few hours or days. I said, whilst you were away, your citizens saw two different laws. They're still debating whether it's forged or not, but they're two different laws. The FIRS, Nigerian Revenue Service, is saying, oh, we have the one we are implementing. And then the one that the Office of the Speaker released as the authentic document is different from the one they're implementing. Oh, that's how bad it is, Victor.
Can't we hold the National Assembly responsible for that?
Do they want to be held responsible? That's the first question. For the first time in about 26 years of our democracy, I'm unable to call it nascent democracy, because after 26 years, it should be a shame on all of us that we are still calling our democracy nascent. So the truth is, 26 years of democracy would never been this deep in shamelessness and nadir. We have seen executives try to twist and manipulate the legislature, but we've never seen a legislature that accepts to be a rubber stamp, and proudly so. This legislature is saying that they're proud to be rubber stamps of the executive. They defend the indefensible, and whatever the executive comes with to the National Assembly, they even allow the Song of Jesters. The National Assembly stands on the mandate in the hallowed chamber, forgetting that they are supposed to be representatives of the people, forgetting that the sacred responsibility imposed on them by the Constitution is to oversight the executives, to act as checks and balances, and ensure that there's no such thing as executive lawlessness, braggadocio, or if you like, control without logic. But sadly, as you and I talk, we have a National Assembly that has abdicated its constitutional responsibility, and they are in cahoots with the executive in fleecing our collective patrimony, if you like, in undermining the rights of the people to a better life, if you like, and in undermining the challenges of now. Victor, I think that the time has come for us to speak truth to power. The time has come for us to say to those who care that eternal vigilance is the price for liberty and freedom.
From the background of a lawyer, having two laws, the one the NRS saying that is the original one we're implementing, and the one National Assembly saying this is the original one that we actually passed, where does it leave us as a country? Despite protestation from Nigerians that the government should slow down, let us resolve these issues, all we heard was that it has been harmonized and they're going ahead with it.
It's sad, but the truth is that it appears like we're conquered people. It appears like we have a dictatorship bearing its fangs. It appears like we have a despotism in the money. And it appears like the political class is concerned about the next election. And that is why I've told everybody who's attempted to coerce me or bludgeon me into discussing 2027. I'm not interested in the politics of 2027 just yet. I'm interested in how Nigeria fares right now. And I'll tell you why. There's a cliché that says patriots are concerned about the next generation, not the next election. Politicians are almost always concerned about the next election. And now, like you asked, with two laws on the same issue.
Staying late again? Yep, got prospect calls to summarize. You really need to switch to Mondays.
Then it is deep shamelessness, not only on the side of the executive, on the side of the legislature. And I think that the time has come for the civil society and indeed the masses of our people to challenge. And that's why I talked about the need for eternal vigilance. And then the second leg is my mentor, Martin Luther King Jr. Coincidentally, this is the third Monday of January. So today is a public holiday in America. That young man died at 39. He broke time and told people, indeed the world, that disobedience of an unjust law is indeed and in fact the greatest respect for the law. And I said proudly that the time has come for Nigerians to learn to disobey an unjust law. If you don't have confidence in what the National Assembly and indeed the executive are doing, we should challenge them in the courts of law. And then we should engage in peaceful protest and protestations across this country. I think that the time has come for us to understand that if we don't do this, our children will ask us strong questions. If we don't do this, because all over the world, I say this, Victor, that a tax man is nobody's friend. And in Nigeria, spokesperson of the president and the presidency are trying to make us friends of the taxman. And I'll tell you why all over the world, the taxman, even in the most civilized democracies, there's nobody's friend. The truth is that there's something incumbent on taxation. You tax me when you're serving me. And even in those societies where people serve them, they are very critical of what the taxman does. In Nigeria, you're telling me that it's beautiful and laudable for me to pay tax when I provide just about everything for myself. And so I think that there's a problem with how we think. There's a problem about how we respond to leadership, and there's a problem about the depth of our debate. And I remember that my late dad told me a long time ago that the preponderant number of our people leave their brains in the refrigerator. The Nigerians refuse to think. And so that's why people are saying, oh, are you trying to say people shouldn't pay tax? I'm interested in people paying tax if Nigeria cares about our children going to school. I'm interested in people paying tax if we have pipe bomb water. I'm interested in people paying tax if we have electricity. I'm interested in people paying tax if we have good Medicare. I'm interested in people paying tax if we have motorable roads. I'm interested in people paying tax if things are working. And I think that should be the first challenge of leadership. Every so often you talk about policies of government. The past 2.5 years has told us that we have government that is interested in just about themselves. The policy of government is about Mr. President, his team, his court jesters, and his party. Nigerians are far removed from their radar, and that's exactly the tragedy of now. In 2.5 years, the value of our currency is on a flip-flop. In 2.5 years, our security, indeed what has been democratized, is insecurity. In 2.5 years, Nigerians are hungrier than they were 2.5 years ago. In 2.5 years, it's, Victor, if you must travel, you're looking for money for flight because the roads have been adjudged as death traps. So I don't understand the reason for which Nigerians are talking about, oh, it must be on your mandate in 2027. That's why it's impossible for me to discuss. And for those who are in the opposition, like yours sincerely, I've told them that our challenge first will be about making the people understand why you're opposed to the present leadership. It's not about the politics of 2027. They don't trust politicians no more. And that's the truth. Why should they trust you? Why should they trust that you will do better than Tinubu in 2027 when you haven't shown direct consent? Well, nobody's saying throw money everywhere. Mobilize people to say no to the forged and fake tax law. Mobilize people to say no to paying for lights that we don't have. Mobilize people to say no to why we should have the highest number of out-of-school children in the world. Mobilize people to say no to why we have about the least minimum wage in the world. These are strong challenges that we must address. And Victor, having had to stay for 4 months and 2 weeks last year out of this country because I went in search of medical attention to my health, to see how societies work and attend to the well-being of their citizens. When I hear people say, oh, people pay tax in the United States of America, I'll tell you something, Victor. It bothers the carapace of my mind that when they say that, they forget that if you were a parent of a child in a school in America, and if that child is not in school for a certain number of days in a particular academic calendar, the police comes for you. And the state comes out against you, and perhaps look for a care for your child. That tells you how interested the state is about the welfare and the well-being of your child. Here we have the highest number of out-of-school children, and all they're interested in is in taxing you. Here we're talking about electricity for 4 months and 2 weeks, not 1 second of light out in Houston where I was. And then you ask yourself, even in those societies, people complain about tax. And then you're asking me why I'm complaining about tax when I do just about everything myself. So I think that Nigerians must learn to think. Nigerians must learn to interrogate leadership. Nigerians must learn to ask questions. And beyond the politics, because this is the year of politics and campaigns, we must learn to subject anybody and any manifesto to the crucible of truth. Reality, realism, and practicality. If you cannot convince me about how you, because don't forget that some people say, oh, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is about the best political strategist Nigeria has known. Some also tell you that he's the father of modern Lagos. And so people continue to tell us all kinds of stories about how wonderful he has been politically. And if he has been a president for 2.5 years, and his presidency is the most uneventful in our historicity, then there's a question, not only to him and his minders, but to how all of us think as a people. So my challenge to those who are listening to this interview is to learn to think and interrogate leadership. Because, Victor, let's go a bit into history. In ancient Greece, in the Parthenons, where Socrates, Aristotle, Aristophanes, Plato, when they sat down to debate issues, all they sought was to make men think. There's a phraseology that sticks and resonates with me. Oh, that men may think. I think that the time has come for us to challenge people in this country to think. The leadership must think, parents must think, children must think, political office holders must think, and those who superintend the fourth and the fifth estate of the realm must think. The time to begin to ask our leaders to be true to what they say on paper is now, and we must eternally be vigilant about what those who defend government, say, cross-examine, interrogate them. And if you like, come with contrary thoughts as to what can work and what will work. Only when we do that can a search for the republic that works be realistic.
Someone is tempted to ask, is there nothing you can pick out from the 2.5 years of Tinubu's presidency has worked, whether in the economy, whether in security, whether in any other aspects of our national life?
Except you want me to be a jester, except you want me to give a thumbs up to mediocrity. I will quote Gandhi Mahatma, that great revolutionary of Indian fame, who said that I'm not scared to stand alone. If I am the minority of one, truth will prevail. I don't know what you want me to say. Is it about the economy? Is your naira of greater value today? Can you buy more with the more money that you have today? That's for the economy. So I don't know what you want me to say. Now for healthcare, are you telling me that you trust the medical facilities that you have better than you used to? Has it fared better? If the answer is no, then I think that I'm not standing alone. Now, what do you want me to applaud? Security? More Nigerians are dying by the day, even with the threat from the Americans. Are you aware that we had so many human barbecues in Borno, Benue, Plateau, Kaduna, Katsina on New Year Eve and New Year Day? So I don't know where to applaud. I would love to have something to applaud, but dispassionately I try to find something I can applaud. Or you want me to applaud the fact that of almost all the leaders of the world, our president was the one holidaying on New Year morning, and so he didn't have time to talk to his citizens? Is that what I should applaud? Or should I applaud the fact that after 11 days of being away, he traveled to the United Arab Emirates for the program that he told us almost 2 weeks before that he was traveling for? Should I applaud that? Or should I applaud the fact that instead of telling us that our president was going to France or the United Kingdom or to Germany on holiday, they told us that he was going away to Europe? Europe is not a country. Should I applaud that? What should I applaud? Should I applaud the fact that we're still talking about missing billions and trillions in the NMPC, and then government is telling us that they are writing off the loans and misappropriated resources from the NMPC? What should I applaud? I would love to. I'm actually looking for something to applaud. If you help me with what you think I should applaud, maybe I'll find reason to applaud that. But clearly, I want to be a student of truth. I want to be a votary of truth. I want my ancestors to find pride in the fact that I wasn't ashamed to stand alone, if need be, but stand with the truth. And I've looked around. I've looked at the economy. Okay, yeah, the only thing that looks like a glimmer, yeah, you see I'm struggling to, because I'd love to applaud, is the fact that I heard that Alausa, the Minister of Education, signed an agreement with us. And because I love the academia, I think that looks like a glimmer of hope. But signing an agreement, how does it pan out as to implementation? That's the point. So I think I wouldn't be hasty to applaud that. It's an agreement. They had an agreement 2009. It wasn't executed or implemented. We've had several agreements with ASU that wasn't kept. So I am a bit careful not to dance in the fray. And so I don't have anything to applaud, frankly. And I am proud to say that to Nigerians, that I haven't seen anything to applaud in 2.5 years. If I see, I'll humbly and proudly applaud it. Until I see that, let nobody gaslight me about an economy that hasn't made life better for our people. Let nobody gaslight me about the medical system or sector at the federal level that hasn't done profound. And let nobody gaslight me about security, because you changed the Minister of Defense, and fewer Nigerians dying today than they were 2 years ago. So until I see things to applaud, I will stay and criticize what government is not doing right.
Right, the three arms of government are supposed to check and balance each other. But from what we've seen between the National Assembly and the judiciary, which do you think has done more harm to our democracy in the light of all that has been happening? Because if both the National Assembly and judiciary have stood on their own to resist or check the excesses of the executive like we are noting, I don't think we'll be in the mess we are today. So between the two, the judiciary, the National Assembly, who has done more harm to our democracy?
Vic, the average ideologue will be quick to an answer. But my leader also taught me, he's my number one hero. He told me that don't be quick to assessing between two wrongs, because wrong is wrong, my son, and sometimes when you do that, it may actually give the impression that one wrong is better. Now, let me say clearly that the three arms of government should actually, under the law, be independent. And that's the beauty of separation of powers. Unfortunately, under the Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency, we have the legislature and the judiciary as sub-arms of the executive arm of leadership. And you ask me how, we can almost predict judgments from the Supreme Court and the courts of law, particularly when it has to do with politics and issues of governance. And that is because someone said something not too long ago, that perhaps their judgments get written from the villa, and it's a tragedy of sorts. And look at a few days ago, the celebration of the life of Gani Fahmy. And my younger brother and friend, Mazi Afamosiwe, who was the NBA president, was bold enough to say that posterity will not be fair to us, will not be kind to us, if we continue to allow this age where the judiciary is almost predictable and people are largely losing confidence in the judiciary. Frankly, Victor, we have the most uneventful judiciary. We have a judiciary that has proudly, albeit shamelessly, told us that they are interested in some kind of unity and harmony with the executive. And so when it comes to matters of politics, you know, remember what the INEC made popular when they were announcing, go to court. Go to court, it's some kind of a metaphor to forget it, your fate is sealed. Now, the National Assembly proudly tells us that whatever the president, they have said that, I've heard the Senate president say that whatever the president, because they want governance to work, whatever the president comes to them with, they will approve because they want leadership to work. And so I ask myself, where lies that sacred expectations of the legislature, that they will act as checks and balances to the exercise of the executive. And so we have a legislature that is proud to be a rubber stamp of the executive. We have the judiciary that is unaware of the fact that it should be the bastion, the last hope of the common man. And when you have this kind of situation, it bothers me deeply. And I think that the time has come for those who, like yours said, they are lawyers and who worship at the temple of justice, to challenge our judges and the judiciary to sit up, to rise up, and to do right. And then the time has also come for the media, the civil society, and the political class to challenge the National Assembly to rise up to the urgency of now and to truly become representatives of the people. Save and accept that is done. The descent to dictatorship, the descent to despotism, the descent to authoritarian rule will be as sure as night and day.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Of course, we can't run away from the fact that 2027 is by the corner. And I also share the same thing that for the opposition, they must let the people know why they are against these people before telling them what they intend to do. Right. In terms of showing that we are with you, we share your pains. But let's look at issues around 2027. And one of the figures in 2027 is that always be a figure, is B2B. And right now he has moved to the ADC, officially has joined the ADC. How does this strike you? And is it a positive development for the opposition? Or do you think he may run into an ambush?
You know, you're twisting me, you're bludgeoning me into discussing 2027. But I think because I'm a political animal and because there's going to be an election in the next few months, I know that in terms of political capital, Peter Gregory is about the biggest political weight in today's Nigeria. And so that perhaps is the reason why the ADC has grown in leaps and bounds since he joined. That's perhaps why people are beginning to say that the ADC has risen to become the leading opposition party ahead of the PDP. Peter Gregory is a fantastic candidate. But I think that two things are needed. To defeat Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, you must connect with the masses of our people, not the political class. I'm speaking deeply. What worked for him in 2022, 2023 was that he connected with a generation of young people, young boys and girls who wanted change. Now, the fervor does appear like some kind of an elitist movement, and I'm speaking advisedly. I think that the time has come for us. Now I'm using us because I subscribe to quite a lot about Peter Gregory. Now is time for us to take the message back to the people. We must go to Musa and Karun Amuda and tell him that we're not opposed to your Fulaniness. We're interested in making leadership responsible and responsive to the people. The time has come to go to Nkechi in the southeast and tell Nkechi that our commitment is for your well-being and that of your children. The time has come to go to Foma in my home state of Delta and so to her that leadership may have failed you, but what we're interested in doing is to galvanize public support and work with you and your children to bet a nation that works for all. The time has come to go to Kemi and tell Kemi that the Yorubaness of today's leaders doesn't guarantee greatness for you. That what guarantees greatness is a leadership that understands that though tongue and tribes may differ, not only in brotherhood, but in commitment to the common good, we must stand. And I want to say this, when you go to the market, the price of tomato does not ask whether you're outside Yoruba Igbo or a video or thief. The price of beans is indiscriminate of whether you're ADC, APC, PDP, or Labour Party. And so we must understand that reality and take a message, a pan-Nigerian message to the people. And that's why when people call me to say, are you of the ADC now? I say, no, I belong to the people. I want the people to buy into the message for a new day and a new deal. I want people to identify with the fact that we must change this country and make leadership responsible and responsible to the people. I'm not interested in those who are standing on the mandate or on a blood-soaked mandate, on a corruption-riddled and reading mandate, on a mandate that has failed to protect the people. And I'm also not interested in those who have consistently contested elections in our country. I'm interested in how we bet a new nation that is responsible and responsive to the masses of our people. And that's what concerns me. So as we march towards 2027, Victor, I'll be part of those who will take the message of redemption, the message of a nation that works for all, to the people. And if I find the ADC, and I'm speaking futuristically now, if I find the ADC a worthy vehicle for that, I will join them in that journey. If I find any vehicle suitable for that, I will join them. I have chosen to be that one of those statesmen who are concerned about the next generation, not necessarily the next election, because in 2023, we elected the most uneventful president in our historicity, and I don't want to be guilty of pushing another uneventful presidency in 2027.
And of course, you agree with me that to stand aloof in all of this would also be paying the price for allowing some very unworthy people to find themselves on the saddle.
That's why we're fighting. That's why we're taking the message to the people. But you know what? I'll give you a baffle. If you follow what happened in 2023, you know that Nigerian people are actually not about the big parties anymore. Nigerians want to connect with someone who can bet a new deal and a new hope. So I'm not caught by the movements. I am interested in how we take the message of a new day and a new deal, and that's the greatest activity that you need now. Peter Gregory Obi might become the greatest beneficiary of that. Any other candidate from any other party that connects with the people might become the greatest beneficiary. But we must tell our people that redemption does not come from the conventional politics. It doesn't happen. It has never happened. The redemption will come from those who identify with the people. Empathy, concern, brotherliness, emotional leadership. A commitment to the well-being of the people is what we need, not necessarily the mightiness of a political party or the mightiness of those who sing the song of our president. No, it's about us. And Victor, I've said this, that I'm ready to work night and day with any candidate that connects with the people, night and day.
Do you fancy these chances between the presidential ticket in the ADC?
Yeah, I speak with quite a lot of people in the ADC at the leadership level. And I think that the interesting thing is that some kind of new favor and interest in perhaps ensuring that he picks the ticket is the linchpin of the movement now. And some are even saying, oh, it'd be nice to have him as a presidential flag bearer and a Tambuwal as his vice. Some also say it's nice to have him as a flag bearer and a Kwakwanso as his running mate. And I think that the interesting development there is the fact that most of the debates actually are favoring his candidacy. My concern is that we take the message back to the people like we did in 2023. My concern is not about the politics of ADC. Like I said, I'm interested in taking the message of redemption and hope to the streets. It's from the streets that redemption comes.
I want to take this question now, the next question, from the context of what you said. Taking people in 2023, the party was able to connect with the people, and the people.
The message went to the streets.
The message went to the streets. Now, do you share the sentiment of the likes of Pat Tommy, who said if P2B decides to accept the candidate of a vice presidential candidate to any other person in the party, that he will withdraw his support?
But Victor, most of the people on the streets do not want him to run as a vice to an Atiku Abubakar. And so I can connect with my big brother's position. But you know what? I truly want to say this. I will campaign, fight for, and work with P2B only if it takes the message back to the streets. So mine is different from Pat Tommy's. Mine is I will support a candidate who takes the message to the streets, who identifies with the streets. Let me remind you, Victor, that in 2022 and 2023, every Nigerian street, every state capital, in some places, we had street marches in almost every local government headquarters across this country. The P2B movement was absolute. The obedient movement was organic.
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life. Raise your hand.
I am yet to see that favor. And I've written to P2B directly. I've spoken to him about it directly. So I'm not saying what he would deny. That until we take back the movement and the message to the people, the redemption we seek is distant. And I'm saying clearly that for me, it is taking the message back to the people. If we want to save Nigeria, redemption is in the streets, not in exclusive halls where political bigwigs and those who have been part of the Nigerian wrath so pretend. No. I want to see young boys and young girls connect with a hope that we promise. I want them to be able, because it's only when that is done that you can see people rise up to defend their votes when votes are cast. If people do not buy into the message, if it becomes an ADC candidate, not a people's candidate, it will be very easy to rig him out in 2027. So I'm looking for a redemption that is concrete, actualizable, and plausible.
Talking about this movement, some critics say that the obedient fire has burnt out. It was 2023 was just a fluke. And do you think if P2B should get the ticket, that is able to reconnect or reignite that same fire in the obedient movement again?
Victor, I'll tell you something very simple. The obedient fire is alive and well. But what appears like some kind of lethargy, there's a leadership mistake, and P2B is largely responsible for that mistake. All he needs is to right that wrong, correct it, and the obedient fire will burn again, better, more strident, and tougher than it did in 2023. And I say this, without a convocation. You don't take an organic movement, a movement that belongs to the streets, and regularize it. If you must regularize it, you hand it over to a core obedient, not a conventional politician. And so until there is a rework organogram of the obedient movement, until there is a proactive effort by P2B and those around him to take the movement back to the people, those who are saying that, oh, it's a fluke, may applaud their predictions. But I think that the obedient movement is still very active, effective, efficient, and ready to burn, and ready to defeat those who do not care about the masses of our people. What is necessary is for the leader of the obedient movement, who to me is Peter Gregory, to rework the modalities, the organogram, and the structure of that movement. Take it back to the people, give it back to the people, and you see that Nigerians truly want a nation that works for all.
Lest I forget, back to judiciary once again. What do you make of the Supreme Court judgment that concerning the emergency rule in Rivers State, that the president has the powers to remove governors at will? Do you foresee any danger with that pronouncement or judgment?
No, but I told you that we court that is an annex, an extension of the powers of the executive, shamelessly. In a democracy, you're giving to the democratically elected president the power to destroy and dislodge a sovereign authority democratically elected by people in the name of emergency. Who gives you that power? Where did you get it from? What constitution? That interpretation was absolutely logical for me. Don't forget that the same Supreme Court had ruled before and went ahead to even instruct our former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, to pay the monies to Lagos State at some point. You don't have the power to undermine democracy. If you got the power through democratic means, you cannot dislodge democracy. I don't understand where the Supreme Court got that, but I think that, because the interesting thing about the judiciary is the fact that the Supreme Court can overrule itself. And so I think that the Supreme Court, in no distant future, will look at that judgment again, revisit that judgment again, and say to Nigerians, we were wrong. Because you don't have the right to remove an elected governor. Because you were, in fact, elected yourself. What the Supreme Court did was tell us that they're okay with despotism, authoritarian rule, and dictatorship bearing its fans. But I know that the Supreme Court, maybe after the tenure of the present Chief Justice of the Federation, may humbly decide to revisit that judgment sooner rather than later.
Let's look at what's happening in Rivers State. Are you comfortable with the way the FCT minister has carried on in Tinubu's administration, especially with his role in the crisis in Rivers State? Even now, we have an indictment hanging on the head of the governor after the emergency rule. We are back to the trenches again.
Rivers of shame, rivers of the absurd. And, I'm a practicing mystic, so I know what karma is. When Wizkid manipulated the elections in Obiapo and most of Rivers in 2023, he thought it was going to be Uhuru. It was going to be an easy ride. He has imposed a governor who will do his bidding, and then he has also gotten the Rivers results to favor Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So for him, it was a win-win. He was totally oblivious of the strong arm of the universe. And so he's paying the price for his larceny. For Fubara, very unfortunately, he dined with the devil, and so he's having the back of rashes. But I want to say clearly that what we have in Rivers is shame. But very unfortunately, because it favors the political inclination of our president. Don't forget, he said that to him, you can snatch it, you can steal it, you can grab it, you can run away with it. So what happened in Rivers wasn't a problem for him, and that's why they are having the headache. Now, tragically, it was that same Rivers scenario that led the Supreme Court to the shameless approval of dictatorial tendencies in its judgment when it came out to say, albeit shamelessly, that the president can sack an elected governor, all in the name of an emergency rule. But let me say clearly that this whole theater of shame is absolutely troubling for me, because indeed the greatest threat to the democracy that we fought for, the greatest threat to the sustenance of democracy is this presidency. The Bola Ahmed Tinubu presidency is the greatest singular threat to the survival of democracy. And I'll tell you for 3 reasons. When the rule of law becomes a victim in governance, then people, like you hear them in the streets, people are beginning to applaud Traoré in Burkina Faso. People are beginning to say that what is happening in Niger is salutary and enviable. People are saying that what is happening in Mali is salutary and laudable, because they are tired of tendencies that otherwise should have been democratic, but are fascist, but are absolutely undemocratic and despotic. And so I think that what we must do is, the president, call your minister of the FCT to order and allow some decorum in River State. The time has come for us to say to Mr. President, tell the judiciary that they must assert their independence if we must continue to call what we have a democracy. And tell your Robbers National Assembly to rise up, even if in some kind of pretense, to show that not everything that comes from the Aso Rock Villa gets passed by the National Assembly. And I'm saying this, Victor, because it is important that we understand that if we continue like this, Nigerians will have no reason to say defend democracy. Because those who chiefly should defend democracy are the ones threatening it. And then, on the second note, the fact that the school board defines the democracy as the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But unfortunately, this democracy is for the rich. By Tinubu and his praise singers, for those who stand on the mandate.
Bam. Here's the thing, right? I really like the part he said where he was talking about he's only going to support the person that will be on the ground talking to the people. I think that's very important. That is very, very important for you to decide to say, okay, you know what? The only person I'm going to support is the one who shows me that he has the interest of the people at heart. You understand? I really like that because saying this, you can easily distinguish between a Peter Obi, for instance, from the rest of everybody else who's been going around visiting the IDP camps, going to the schools, donating money, making all these donations. Is Peter Obi. He's the only one that's been doing it, right? Every other person, with the terrorism that's going on in the country, only Peter Obi talks about it. If you go to Peter Obi's Twitter, he's always tweeting about something happening in Nigeria. Nothing happens in Nigeria that Peter Obi does not say something about, right? If you go on Atiku's page, you can tell only a few times he will come up and say something, right? That's all. And I'm not here to like bash or talk badly about Atiku or anybody because we're in a big coalition now, right? But we have to, I'm very happy that he says it. So it is true. And everybody seems, Nigerians are opening their eyes. I have to be very, very honest. A lot of people are opening their eyes to understand that you have to ask the hard questions. You really have to ask the hard questions. You cannot, gone are the days where politicians will just come, even though, I mean, I saw a video yesterday of where they were sharing money. MC Oluomo was sharing, what, 5,000? I don't know where that took place, but he was giving people 5,000. Only God knows if he has collected. I'm sure that he has collected their PVCs because that's what they normally do. They will share money for them and then collect their PVCs and promise them something. The same, I don't understand though. And these people that they were sharing money to seem like people that are reasonably educated. So they should know. But hey, it is what it is. Moving along. I just thought I'd bring that video of Mr. Nwakobia because I hadn't heard from him in a while. And I wanted to hear his take. I wanted to know what support was. If he was still, supporting good governance and supporting the movement. Well, not necessarily the movement. Good governance is the movement that all well-meaning Nigerians are supporting. I wanted to find out from, him where his stance was. And I'm glad that, he's still there and he's asking tougher questions, which is good. I mean, it's good to see that. Now, you guys remember the Sujimoto case? I know that my topic threw you people off because I know that's what you people want to hear. Wizkid versus Seun, Ishowspeed versus what's the person now? Peller. I just put that there because I know that one is eye candy. They call it clickbait, right? I don't know much about these people, so I'm not interested. What I'm interested in is how we can move this country forward and the real conversations around it. So remember Sujimoto, where the Enugu state government had sued him for some millions that he had taken, or they claimed that there was a fraud with the money that was given for the school, for Enugu school. I want us to take a listen to this video of this breakdown of this lady. Her name is Mimi. The topic says, her header says EFCC recovered 1.27 billion of state's money. Hey God, from Sujimoto to the, remember when this guy came out and was crying, to the Enugu state government, what the Enugu school contract exposed about wasted public funds, contractor accountability, and what it means when the system decides to work. Let's take a listen to her breakdown.
So some of us must have come across this notice because it has circulated endlessly, wanted by the EFCC. For many Nigerians, that kind of notice has become so familiar that we barely post anymore. And some people even might dismiss it as another round of political witch hunting. Because in Nigeria, wanted posters don't always translate to real consequences. Now, look at this image. This one that has a check being presented. At a first glance, you might think it's an award later. I would even think it's a contract signing or kind of recognition. But no. Welcome to Nigeria's version of closure. So this is recovered public money being returned. A recovery of looted funds wrapped in official courtesy. For me, that single frame is a mix of embarrassment, institutional process, and a quiet indictment, all summed in one picture. But before emotions run ahead of facts, let's slow down and unwrap this event. First and foremost, January 21st, 2026, the EFCC formally handed over recovered funds to the Enugu state government. About 1.28 billion naira was returned through bank drafts and checks. And how did this money come about? That takes us to the backstory. So, in July 2024, Enugu state government awarded Sujimoto a contract of roughly 11.4 billion naira to build 22 smart green schools with a timeline reportedly around 6 months. And after that, a huge mobilization payment of about 5.7 billion naira upfront was issued to accelerate delivery. But what followed after? We had news of near abandonment of sites, substandard work, and a gap between money paid and value delivered. Now let's pause here. Because when we say money wasted, Nigerians have become too used to it. This was school money. When you divert money meant for schools, you're not just stealing cash, you're stealing classrooms,
I'm telling you.
and our safety. Because when you deprive children of learning today, you're robbing the society of capacity tomorrow.
Exactly.
Now, the audacity of this kind of behavior is really powered by confidence alone. Because in Nigeria, audacity often comes from the belief that someone powerful has got your back. And yes, there's always that whisper that contractors are tied to politicians, but we cannot build story on speculation. Instead, we will face the front of the system, the names on the documents, the companies that collected the funds, the people who signed, the people who took the money. Because if you want to fight a bad practice, you don't start by fighting everybody. You start with what you can verify, and this case has something verifiable. So, in September 2025, EFCC declared Ogundele wanted over alleged diversion of funds and money laundering connected to the Enugu State Green Schools project. But then, we don't want to even imagine what kind of schools were tied to such funds. Either ways, so by January 2026, some part of this money had been recovered and formally returned to the state. Now let's talk like adults. Nigeria's procurement system has hidden disease. Mobilization fees can become political oxygen. Sometimes, once that large upfront payment is released, the real pressure on delivering disappears because too many interests had already been settled, and so contractors are emboldened not to do the work. And that is why we see projects with big banners and groundbreaking ceremonies abandoned. Penalty must be more than returning some money. Now let's say something clearly. Refund is not enough. If only consequences is return part of the money when you're caught, then corruption becomes a temporary loan. Real accountability requires penalties such as full restitutions, prosecute offender, and of course blacklist them from future public contracts. Although the EFCC has indicated that recovery effort continues and that the matter remains under investigation, more needs to be done. Public contracts are not opportunities, they are obligations. And this is why I might say, well, the action taken by the Enugu state government is a step in the right direction. But the underlying question is, what kind of school is built with 11.4 billion naira? This is not a perfect story, but it reveals one truth. Nigeria can achieve results when the government chooses to use institutions properly. And now the final irony, the one that should shake every serious-minded person. If government can use its ministries and agencies to fight corruption and recover money from a contractor, Why does the same system struggle to apply the same force when allegations involve government officials themselves? These tools exist, the law exists, the institutions exist. So the real question is not, can Nigeria fight corruption? The real question is, who is Nigeria willing to fight? It is a truth at the time. Take care and have a nice day.
That's true. Who is Nigeria willing to fight? That's the question. We're moving on. So let's take a listen to this. Okay?
Brother, my sister, this is the mass burial. This mass burial is going on today, being 22 of January 2026.
Welcome, Jayola, welcome.
Terrorists killed today, and they are doing mass burial today. You can see Reverend Ezekiel. Reverend Ezekiel have gave order they should open the casket. Because Gumi and some of our wicked politicians are saying that Christians are burying empty caskets. That is why Reverend Ezekiel gave order they should open it. This is what is happening today, being 22 of January 2026. Mass killing of Christians. This is what is happening today. May God show us mercy for what we are going through in Nigeria. As you are watching this video, make sure that you share this video. And if you are in America, send this video to the New York Times, the New York Reporter, the New York Times. Send this video. Because now them follow for the people where they talk say no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Make sure that you share this video. I will not post all the videos due to Facebook standard. So if you need the video, go to my comment section, join my WhatsApp channel. I will post the full video there on my Telegram. So thank you and God bless you.
Yes, sir. If you cannot defend your people, you are a coward. Yes, sir. Do something. Prepare yourself for self-defense. I'm going to finish up with this. Kumi said that we Christians were burying empty coffins. We are burying empty coffins. Kumi ache muna bison akwatin gawa ba komi kai kunji. Yes sir. Kukuda mini kawana.
I know fit. I know we show that part. We can know verse. We can know verse. Okay.
Or yesterday evening, they said goodbye. They didn't know they are coming. They are not coming back home. That is the life of a Christian in Nigeria. They are bribing the war so that they will kill us the more. I've said it, and I'll continue to say it. They are paid higher killers from the Fulani terrorists to kill us the more, so that they will take over the state. Only God of vengeance shall repay for us. Some of you said that I'm dead. I'm alive, I'm not dead. Some of you said they have flown me to abroad and about to die. With sickness, I am alive. Some of you that have woke up, that I'm finished, I'm still alive, and I'm going to perform today the latest burial in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Over to you.
Hi. Omo. So they actually hope they had to. Omo. Jayola, you say leave the Nigerian name for Northerners. Jayola, you don't vex. Omo, I don't blame you. Guys, I beg, make una help me double tap the screen to like the live. I beg, make una help me double tap the screen. Or click on the 3 dots on the right hand side to like the live. Thank you as you do. They can have that. A system that declares one tribe can never have numbers to win president is already telling you its lack of value for a whole tribe. I'm telling you. Eh? Ha! It's crazy. This is why a lot of people are calling for Nigeria to divide. I don't blame them. I do not blame them. Meanwhile, look at, there was live shooting along Okada Benin Road today. As traffic came to a standstill and motorists watched in horror. Several people shot while others were kidnapped. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm a kidnapper. For brother light, kidnapper. And all you just shoot anyhow. See, they don't even keep person for themselves. We don't know who they kill. Now they hear and God. We don't know who they kill. They don't keep person for ground. See, that truck so they hold and stand.
Hey, everybody they watch, they didn't carry anything from there.
See, they don't shoot person. No. They don't keep person. They don't shoot God anyhow. Nobody did safe for this country again. No.
Bartholomew. Yeah. Nigeria. We move. Look at 170 Christians that were kidnapped. You guys already know. We already talked about that yesterday. And then this Ogun State governor and Dakwa Abiodun.
Go and ask the people of the nation. They will tell you Baba Shofumowo is the spirit lives in me.
Thank you so much, Bartholomew. I appreciate. Thank you for the gift. Àwọn tó wá ń dọ̀fà iṣẹ́ fún wọn sọ fún ẹ pé wọn ò rí ṣe. Gbogbo nǹkan ló tì mí lẹ́yìn lókè lódò nílẹ̀ ni. Èmi adé tó wọ̀n náà bí. O ò lè bá mi wọ̀. Àjọ máa jókòó àjọ máa sọ ni. Dápọ̀, it is up. So the backstory, I can't find the video right now. The backstory is that, you remember Ogun State roads that are terrible. There's a particular activist that's been calling out the Ogun State governor for the terrible state of the road, deplorable state. They had arrested the pastor. I think they said they released him now, I'm not sure. So she called out the Ogun State governor as well. I was talking about the deplorable state of the hospitals, the road, they don't have ambulances. They have to rely on the ambulances from Lagos. What happened with, what's this guy's, the boxer's name, the accident that happened, so she had called him out on it. Then the next thing, I think the Ogun State governor said that they have, whether he sued her or he's threatening to arrest her or something like that. So this is what has given birth to this video. So that's why she's saying what she's saying. But she's saying a lot of it in Yoruba. So sorry, guys. She's just responding to him.
Country, Ogun Tiwani, Ile Nigeria Tiwadeni. You can't subdue me. Look at the innocent pastor. You have used DSS to arrest him. You are a governor that doesn't want criticism. You don't want anybody to hold you. I beg. Where they want to say cyber law crime. That is where every one of you are hiding under. Cyber law crime. For a public office holder that has the lives of countless citizens under his roof and in his palm. You're supposed to be the chief security officer of the state, protecting and defending us. You are now saying we are cyber stalking you. Cyber stalk you. You want to tell you what toilet. Blow job go tell non-performing governor for that matter. Governor to perform that's why I don't have your time yet. Sorry, Alberto say. I don't you have gone to France, we don't even know whether you are still the governor or you are now Shagori secretary. Tori, you are running from pillar to post. Your own code of state is not at peace. Look at it. Using officers. Power, executive power that you didn't inherit. I believe you have ability that. You are using DSS, police, harassing people, even common urban people, Awujale, Orito. Infrastructure, basic amenities. You are showing arrogance and pride. gloating here and there. I have ambulances. Shebi, we went to survey. We didn't see the ambulances you claim. Those were videos of 2022, 2023. I have the evidence. Governance is continuous. The project that I'm also built in Ogun State Hospital, Abi was Benga Daniel. You abandoned it and started on that project. You people are wasting public funds. You see that airport that you're claiming? My father has a vision over 30 years ago and left acres of land. My father did for his people. He loved his people even more than he loved his children. So I love my people even more than I love myself. Unfortunately for you, Dapo, where is your legacy? If you leave governance in another 1.5 or 2 years, what legacy are you proving? You have been able to prove to us that you are so heartless, unpassionate, you are arrogant, you only gloat on empty projects. Show us your project. We are willing to surface it to the whole world. We are willing to showcase Ogun. It is our state. It doesn't belong to my father or Latayo. Neither does it belong to your father or your mother or my mother. So therefore, we cannot be under you as subjects. You either listen to us and ask us, everywhere. You are not running Ogun State with a team. You are running yourself. We have local government issue challenges there. Salary of people that you are still paying 40,000.
Hi!
Complaints here and there.
Man.
Rather than you opening a listing
Nigerian politicians are wicked, though.
You will not be gloating and be ranting and be using powers unnecessarily up and down. You are so desperate to go to the Senate, yet you cannot protect us, you cannot defend us, you cannot listen to us, and you don't want to go and make laws on behalf of us. Therefore, you are wafitiwa sheni, oma fititiwa, oma fi sheni. Awala ma tiye lẹ́yìn tó bá ní ìrìn àjò wájú. Tabade mọ̀ pé ìrìn àjò yóò lè san ẹ́, àwa iná la máa gbé ẹ jókòó síbi tó yẹ kó jókòó sí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, obìnrin ni wá, ayé ni wá, ìyá ni wá. Àwa abiyamọ ìgbọ́kọmọ ẹ̀kọ́ má tàti wèrè ni. Wọ́n lè má sunkún lójú wa ká má dákẹ́. You no concern me, no concern me. If Nigeria is poor as a nation, and I am rich as an individual, we are all poor. As long as we don't have basic amenities and infrastructure, who the hell are you, Dapo? A space that doesn't belong to you, executive power is what you are misusing and abusing, and people are saying that I abused you. Mombue, when I was begging you and crying, how many?
If everybody they talk like this, it go good though. Nigeria go start to dey get small sense. Nigerians, a lot of more Nigerians go they come up. We move. This is an update from Pastor Haruna regarding the tragic unaliving of Christians yesterday, in his hometown, Kuru district in Plateau State, Nigeria. I'm telling you, Bartholomew, it's not even Omo.
Good day, everyone. We wake up this morning with
I beg, make una help me double tap the screen to like, oh, I beg. Or click on the three dots to like.
For help. Waking up this early morning, Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, in my community, Kuru district in Jos South, Plateau State, Nigeria. Waking up this morning, the community was attacked by Fulani terrorists who came in, destroyed, and killed people. And among those who were killed, young and able men who are struggling to bring food to their families, who will wake up in the morning struggling to get food to take care of their families. 7 able young men killed. This is terrible. This is heartbreaking. Kuru community in Josa local government of Plateau State, Nigeria, was thrown into a mourning situation. These able young men that were killed by these wicked terrorist Fulani guys is sad that none was arrested. For goodness sake, these are human beings. These are not ghosts. You look at their base in Rio, Mahanga. These people are wiping away Christians. When we talk about Christian genocide in Plateau State, Middle Belt, and Nigeria, only the wicked will deny this fact. There are evidence abound. People can come and see what is going on. You go to Riom local government, they have taken over more than 18 communities there, where they have killed the people, wiped them out, taken over their homes. But yet, the government will pretend that nothing is happening. Is it not shameful that even the government will look for money to bribe and lobby to deny the fact of Christian genocide in Nigeria? Now look at it today. In the night, early morning of today, Thursday, 22nd of January 2026, these able young men who went out to look for food for their families. When I was looking at the list of these young people that were hacked to death by these Fulani terrorists, my heart ached. I am in pain. Looking at young men coming from my community. These are families that we know. These are families that we live together in peace. These are families that we worship God together. Today they are no more. It's so painful. And I was looking at the names of these young people. Dungia, a 19-year-old young man, left behind a widow and a small child. Wendong, 26, killed. Left behind 2 little children and a wife. And I look at Francis Paul, 23-year-old young man, killed. Left behind a wife and a small child. Samuel Peter, 22-year-old, killed. Left behind a small child and a wife. Dung Simon, 28-year-old young man, hacked to death. Left behind a wife and 3 children. Pam Dung, 23. And Francis Marcus, 15-year-old young man. These are young people with a bright future. And overnight, killed by Fulani terrorists. What a painful day. What a sad situation for my community in Kuru district, of just South Plateau State. And the painful thing about this situation, people are being killed on daily basis. Christians have been wiped away in Plateau State, Middle Belt, and Nigeria. It is sad that the government has been denying this fact. We have graves all over the land. Mass graves of people all over the land. These are verifiable facts. You can verify them. They are all there for everyone to see. I want to plead with the American government to do something, and to do something fast before we are completely wiped away by these Fulani terrorists. I am pleading with the American government. Please act now. Save our lives. We are being killed and terrorized by these Fulani terrorists. And we know the government cannot save us. The government are busy denying the fact of Christian genocide. American government, we plead with you. Act, and act fast. Now these young men are gone. Who cares about them? Who cares about their families? What a painful day for us today. It's sad. It's so painful that we keep losing young people in our communities, killed overnight, and no justice for our communities. There is Christian genocide going on right in Plateau State, in Middle Belt, in Nigeria. No one will deny this fact. I plead with you, the American government, come and save us from the hands of these Fulani terrorists. Because we know the Nigerian government is not willing, is not capable of saving us. We pray for intervention. Please act, and act fast.
What a shame. What a shame. Meanwhile, the US lawmakers, they don't talk, say, Kaduna abductions, we will not tolerate massacres of Christians. That's what they're saying. And this guy, I don't know who he is, Tinubu's advisor, he called Donald Trump madman for an interview. Make una hear for ourselves.
My impression of Trump when he was making that speech yesterday was that he was suffering from what you might call location disorientation or spatial confusion. He probably did not know where he was. That speech.
Before your visa is withdrawn. Those agencies are very
I don't care. I don't go. I'm very comfortable in Nigeria. I don't need to go anywhere. Here was a man addressing an audience at Davos. Davos is a symbol of global multilateralism. And here he was preaching American exceptionalism. He thought he was speaking to a MAGA audience. That's why I talked about spatial confusion. Because if you listen to the rambling speech, some part of it that he allowed himself to use the teleprompter. But for the most part, it was on his own. The usual, what you hear when he goes on campaign with his favorite audience. The speech lacked grace, lacked wit, lacked quality. The kind of thing that you expect from an American president was not there. You will notice that all through the speech, there was no laughter. There was no applause. And even when he finished, the applause was just there with just politeness. So most of the speech was devoted to abuse. I mean, Biden, the former president of the United States, was mentioned 7 times in the first 5 minutes of the speech. Sleepy Biden, stupid Biden. There was so much abuse of people buying windmill for China are stupid, and so on. And then there was so much bombast about about what he had done. There was that display of narcissism and megalomania. I did his eye. Trump has turned himself into a king. I beat them with the United States Army. I told you. So he has turned America into paradise. The speech was not appropriate for that place. It was a declaration of what I call Pax Americana. America is the ruler of the world. Without America, no economy will survive. Look at the example of Switzerland that he gave. He said he talked to the president. The president was very rude and so on, and he now changed the tariff from 30 to 39. That he could put 70%, and Switzerland would be ruined. Everybody loves America. America is the place that runs the world. This was the kind of thing that we were listening to. A rambling, lacking quality. The language was poor. It was the pedestrian language that uses to address his mega audience. And of course, from Finland, there was a display of ignorance, absolute ignorance. How can you say you want to negotiate about Greenland? Greenland is part of Denmark. Denmark is a member of NATO. So there's no problem about defense. There's a collective defense agreement in the NATO treaty. That is the Washington Treaty of 1949. Article 5. An attack on one will be an attack on all. Article 5. So how can you not? Article 5, yes, Article 5 of NATO treaty, or the Washington Treaty. What is so if Greenland is already a member of NATO to Denmark, what is the point about talking about defending it from Russia and China? It's already defended by the NATO treaty. So this is a president who does not read, who does not listen. That was on display there. So if you want to, what you say is that we are the hegemon, we are the superpower of the world, you have to deal with us. So he has thrown out multilateralism, international laws, and so on. This is a man who has forgotten that America, the founding fathers of the UN, and the presidents of the world during the Second World War, had a multilateral view of the world, a world in which we will all be a global community. The Marshall Plan and NATO itself were two sides of a commitment to build the world and save it from communism. NATO, Marshall Plan they were plans to secure America, more of a plan of American security. If you allow European countries to fall to the Soviet Union, don't forget at the time NATO was formed, the Soviet Union had not demobilized. They were still there in Europe, in Eastern Europe, with millions of troops. And they had the advantage of overrunning Europe. The communist ideology was gaining ground because of poverty and desolation and destruction of European economy. So the Americans needed to save Europe for self. So now it's forgotten that he has no sense of history, he has no sense of global humanity, and so on. And therefore, there is a man, an empty man, speaking to a very enlightened audience. It was only in the last part of his speech, when he returns to the teleprompter, that he remembered that he was speaking to some of the best managers of the economies of the world. He just stopped short of abusing Macron and other leaders. But he kept abusing his Federal Reserve chairman. Stupid. Calling everybody stupid. That's not a speech by an American president. The American decision-making has collapsed because Trump has taken over.
Instead of this man to worry about his own country, there's fire in his own country, there's problem. He's not concerned. He's busy analyzing how Trump said it and what Trump said wrong. Hey, God. Anyway, this is NSA Ribadu welcoming the U.S. anti-terror squad to Abuja for joint action. Let's listen to them. They no talk. Okay, looks like there's no volume. They don't put volume. I'm sure it's on purpose. They don't want people to hear.
A few remarks.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back.
Especially between the two.
Okay.
Open bilateral cooperation, especially between the two countries, as regards the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. We have had remarks by the National Security Advisor of Nigeria and the U.S. Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs. Therefore, I want to give you a few remarks. Thereafter, if you have any questions, we can then take. Now, this engagement that we have just had represents the third high-level engagement by senior U.S. government leadership since the visit of the Nigerian delegation to Washington in November last year. Now, this also follows two congressional delegations hosted in December of 2025, and are now having this working group between the two countries convening to work together to see how the two countries can work together to solve the pressing issues on the table. This bilateral engagement reflects not only our shared commitment to religious freedom and the protection of civilian population, but it is also a mature and strategic relationship that is grounded in trust and also in shared responsibility, especially between our two nations. The partnership has been useful, with the US and Nigeria cooperating militarily, but also in intelligence sharing and in general security. And I want to state here that indeed this cooperation has translated into very tangible operational gains. It has enhanced our intelligence sharing. It has also brought about closer coordination between the United States of America, AFRICOM, and Nigeria's military. Of course, this is across all sectors, as we have heard from the National Security Advisor. The US, as we also had, has committed to timely delivery of outstanding military equipment, such as drones, helicopters, platforms, spare parts, and also will provide associated support system that Nigeria has procured over the past 5 years. Now, the idea is that this meeting will seek to accelerate the delivery of this military equipment and other support that we require from the United States. Now, we want Nigerians all to know that this partnership is working and is also yielding very tangible results for us. We are beginning to see the gains of this very close relationship that we are developing with the United States of America. We want to use this opportunity to tell Nigerians that this cooperation is indeed yielding the desired fruit. We want Nigerians to be patient as both countries continue to engage for the betterment of our two countries and the world in general. On the Nigerian part, we are all aware that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of Nigeria has since formally declared a state of national security emergencies in more vulnerable and also in high-risk areas. And in the process, he has authorized and asked that there should be an intensified joint operations between all the security agencies and our armed forces. And the president has also directed that this is sustained by the deployment of additional security forces to priority areas to curb this violence. Very important for Nigeria. We want to state that this relationship is also helping in strengthening early warning and also developing a national database to provide a single authoritative source of accurate and verifiable figures on deaths and casualties arising from violence. Of course, this will also strengthen evidence-based decision-making, accountability, and effective security responses. Now, in the past, we have not been able to have very coordinated database where truths and facts related to those who have been affected by this violence is properly recorded. Now, this cooperation is helping us to ensure that we have this database that will help us in knowing exactly who are those that have been injured, exactly who are those that have been killed, and this in turn will help the Nigerian government to take informed decision on how to curb this violence going forward. I also want to state that the Prime Minister of Justice of Nigeria, Department of State Services, the police, and all other security agencies are working assiduously together to investigate and to prosecute terrorism cases. Our aim here is to ensure
is not only met by force, but there's also in the process justice and accountability so that all can see what is happening. I'm in a nutshell, let me state that this indeed, the cooperation between what we are seeing between the United States of America and Nigeria is helping us to forge better partnership so that we can have a more secured and prosperous Nigeria. We recognize the fact that the United States are our friends, and we have been cooperating with them over the years, and the Nigerian government will continue to work with them and other international partners. The aim is to ultimately see that terrorism, violent extremism is defeated and taken out of our soil. Thank you very much. We are working continuously with our U.S. partners. You have heard that these strikes were coordinated together with the Nigerian security agents and armed forces, and they are working together to ensure that we have a very comprehensive evaluation of this, and details of that will continue to be made available to the press. Thank you.
In the Middle Belt has attracted widespread condemnation, both locally and internationally. The government and the people of Nigeria condemn these attacks in the strongest possible terms. These attacks have led to mass killings and abduction of civilians. We find this unacceptable, and we condemn it. We have the opportunity offered by the United States, our partner, to help us to deepen their partnership with us, to address the challenges and find a lasting solution to the problems and restore peace in the affected community. And we are taking advantage of this offer to ensure that the vulnerable communities in Nigeria are well protected. What we are having here today is the first joint working group of the United States and Nigeria on how to address the challenges of mass killing and adoption of innocent civilians in our vulnerable communities. So thank you.
I think that as you have had
of course,
the police will also
both the defense and the police are
yes,
benefit
all
from this partnership.
Thank you very much.
All you people do is speak English. You speak English. Meanwhile, every day they see they clean out with people. Every day. Look at this one. For the past 4 years, every year they come and kidnap my husband and children. And now this year, my parents are among those kidnapped. Look at the women crying. I don't know if we play the video. How many I won't play? Hello, Ibi, welcome. Oh, long time. How you dey? Welcome. Oh, now here we still dey. Nigeria economy is already below water level under Tinubu. If something is not done urgently, we might sink. We don't already sink. Which one be we might?
So you are warning the Tinubu government that if care is not taken between now and December 2024, if they don't do the right thing, this country might go under.
Forget it. In times of economy, in times of exchange rate, in times of poverty, in times of inflation, in times of unemployment. You don't want to combine those four horrible indicators. When poverty is growing,
EB, I greet you specially. Welcome.
And when they are poorer and we are not doing enough, unemployment will grow. When all of this happen with poor exchange rate, it's like saying there is no need to degrade again, because under the ground is few, people can as well sleep and lose their.
We are below the water level already.
Already, everybody knows.
Now,
all economics know that we are below the water level. What we need now is support, and when those support are coming from external environment at no cost, that is zero interest rate. Because this is a soft garbage. Remember, government said $3 billion was coming. It was celebrated all over the media. We never saw it. We heard that we're going to do something. When government was speaking at NESG, about $10 billion we come into Nigeria. We never saw it. We saw again by NNPC that Nigeria was going to have a swap of some sort. We're going to have some billion coming to Nigeria, and there will be traders that will get oil in exchange. It never happened.
Audio money everywhere.
So now, people that are now approaching the country, not now, they've been coming over the years to support Nigeria. I wonder why government prefer to borrow from some headquarters where transparency is an issue, where costs are apportioned to Nigeria, where monies that we are earning in Naira is an issue. We continue to expand. So President Tinubu, we really need to look at agencies of government very critically and take some decision. If truly his administration will be a success and take Nigeria out of the economic mess that we find ourselves right now.
So, now don't hear am. If you want to watch the full video, you can go help yourself and watch the full video. So my people, now here I go leave am for tonight. We'll come back again tomorrow. Make I go take care of meanwhile this Ishowspeed, they say na beggy. People were begging him on the street, and he said Lagos is smelling. I don't see anybody coming for him. He's been saying Lagos is smelling. I didn't see anybody getting upset. I didn't see anybody bantering. Anyway, now here I go drop am. Don't try. I didn't even think I'll be able to make it out this evening again. But I really appreciate you guys joining me. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Welcome on board. Welcome. We talk all things political. Sometimes we dey catch cruise, sometimes we dey catch cruise in between. So yeah. EB, nice to see you again. Dekunle, everyone that was able to join, thank you so much. The poll. I said I'm going to monitor this poll for at least full week. So this one now is a bit tight. 53% in support, 47% not in support of division. Okay, I'm telling you, my bro. Hey, EB. Oh, how many we want to talk? So I'm making note of all the polls. I'm going to do a weekly poll, like I said, and we'll see how this goes. But anyway, guys, I'll see you on a rebate has to happen. We need to clean house. Nigeria cannot sustain the way it's going. It's already collapsed. We're just trying to resuscitate it, if there's anything left in it. The country has collapsed. To the extent Gumi, they come out with a full chest, they threaten war. And these people are having meeting and discussing. Hey, God. After now, they will turn around though and go and lobby again and say they talk to a mechanic. Anyway, I beg, onto other things. My people, thank you very much. I'll see you guys on my next one. Have a wonderful night. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you.